What is up, Investor Secret Network? Welcome to Mitch Maeli Live. Today, we're so excited to be joining you on another week and another edition of Mitch Maeli Live. We've got some awesome things planned for you. It's been kind of a theme lately. We've just been focusing on student success. And I think that there is no better way to demonstrate the power of real estate than showing actual examples of how this is done. I think we're getting a little bit of feedback here. Might either be, is that on your side, Mailer, or is that on Seta's side?
Take it off.
Might either be, is that on your side, Mailer? We'll get the feedback resolved here in just a second. There we go. Okay.
Yeah.
Nope. Is that on your side, Mailer? We'll get the feedback resolved here. Do you have the YouTube live open?
Nope.
Is that on your side, Mailer? We'll get the feedback. Seta. The YouTube live open?
Oh, are you talking to me?
Yeah.
Do you have the YouTube live open? The YouTube live open?
Oh, I don't. Are you talking to me?
Yeah.
Do you have the YouTube live open? The YouTube live
I
open?
think. Oh, I don't. Are you talking to me?
Yeah.
Do you have the YouTube live open? We'll get this resolved. Just bear with us for just a second, guys.
Oh, I don't. Are you talking to me? Yeah, it is. It is open.
Let's close out of that YouTube live.
Oh, that's exit out. Yeah, it is open.
Let's close out of that YouTube live.
Oh, that's exit out. Yeah, it is open. Oh, so sorry.
Let's close out of that YouTube live.
Oh,
Let's exit out. Yeah, it is open. Let's close out of that YouTube live. Here we go. Did that fix it? Here we go.
back on the Zoom.
Yeah, go back to the Zoom.
Okay, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Oh, we got it resolved. Okay, perfect. Back in action. All right. So, like I was saying, the best way to demonstrate the power of real estate is to, is to look at the amazing students that are coming in and just crushing it. And there's no better example than Seta and Mary Tuimoala. And so we've got Seta on today. We're going to be chatting with him about some of the things that he's been doing, some of the things that he's been working on. We're going to dive a little bit into strategy, it's going to be incredible. So to kick off the interview, I'm going to turn this over to my beautiful co-host, Maeli. Take it away.
Hey, what's up? What's up? What's up? So excited to be here. So couple of things, just as like some housekeeping. Let's make sure all of us have our, before we dive too much into our studio, is turning do not disturb on. We will want to make this as amazing as possible, so that nobody can call us, while that's happening. Okay, so I really wanted to have Seta on for a couple reasons. And obviously, Mary, your wife is crushing it. You both are just a great example of what it looks like to be a real estate entrepreneur in today's world, right? And pivoting into 2025, I feel like there are so many questions that are happening right now, and there's people that are just so concerned about the market and they don't know what's going on because of the election happening. It happened, and they're just terrified to take action. And we all know on this call, right, that if we are just sitting around and we're just waiting for stuff to happen for us, will anything happen? No, right? We actually have to be action takers. And you have been an incredible example, Seta, of that. And you just you're diving in like head first, right? And you're just making magic happen for you guys. So I have some questions for you. They're designed to just bring about like what is going on in your life, but also designed to try and help others that are in your or were in your position, to give them some type of hope, right? And to give them a glimpse of like, you can too, because anyone can, right? Anyone can be a real estate investor, whether you have $1 or you have millions of dollars. We can be awesome at real estate investing. People don't believe me, but they're like, you can invest with just $1. And I'm like, heck yes, you could. Technically, you could buy a house for $0, right? Like you totally could.
Yes.
But it's just a matter of understanding the concepts and the principles behind that. So the first question I actually have is not a part of what our normal questions are, but I thought it would be relevant because you are crushing it on social media right now. And my favorite part when I'm watching you is your storytelling. you have a way bringing the audience into what you're experiencing on your day-to-day life. You have two cute, amazing boys, and Mary is also currently pregnant, right?
Yes.
And hopefully due any day, right? Like hopefully soon.
At the moment, yeah.
Yeah.
Hopefully not during this call.
Yeah, not this call. But you know, you're busy, right? You're busy father and you own a construction company as well.
Yes.
And you're a great dad and you're letting the audience in on your life. Tell me why you started doing that and what's happened for you because you've chose to let the audience in on what's going on in your life.
So you guys can hear me, right?
Yes,
Yes.
perfect. Yeah.
So the crazy thing for me, like when so like when I always tell people like the power of creating content, and I feel like instead of coming out and trying to be more salesy to people, I felt like let me just bring them in. Let me just be relatable. And I felt like when I started being relatable, then people feel like if I can do it, then they can all do it. As busy as I am as a father, and my wife as a mother, we're like that. Sometimes people will look at you and be like, man, you are lucky because you have this powerful, smart, whatever. But I'm like, no, I'm just like all of you guys. I'm just a father trying to balance my life and trying to find ways to make it work. And I felt like when I started telling that stories to people, it draw them in to me, and then all of a sudden it's just then I started sharing more of that, and then now they're with me now. So yeah.
Yeah. My favorite part about that is that you're not just sharing your journey of, you know, you're showing being a dad. You're showing what it looks like in a day in the life of being Seta, right? But
Right.
also you're sharing like positive motivational content. And for me, I feel like the world really needs positive energy. It really needs someone like you and Mary and, you know, people that are willing to be like, you don't have to be in the negative, like, all right, like, no, we can do this, right? Like, these
Right,
guys do
right.
it. Like, tell me, and I feel like this is why you are such a positive person, but let's go all the way back. Tell us a little bit about where you grew up. Where are you from? And when did you come to the United States? And kind of what was your life when you were younger?
Well, again, thank you so much for allowing me for giving me this opportunity to share my story. And the crazy thing, when I was invited to the stage, I was already ready. The moment I can't remember his name, Justin.
Richard.
Richard, when he came to
Yeah.
me, like, I don't know, like I'm already ready for this though. And I was about to go crazy, but I was like, control yourself, control yourself. Anyway, so like I love sharing this story because I tell people this though. My parents migrated from Tonga to American Samoa. And so that was a little rough because that migration, they had to start all over again. And I grew up with six siblings, so that four sisters and one little brother who is 6 years younger than me. So like we have a relationship ish now, but we didn't have it when he was young. And so I was there. So I grew up there until I was 17 years old, and then I moved to the States. And the crazy thing is English is our third language, which is crazy. I taught myself to enunciate the words a little bit better now, but but again, that's where I grew up, and that's where my journey started. And the moment I
Did you
got
say third language?
it's my third language, so
Yeah, because Tongan and then Samoan and then
and then
makes
English.
sense.
So I'm
Wow.
trying to like, hey, stick to the enunciate your word a little bit.
I love it, man. I would have never guessed. That's awesome.
So yeah, so that's what makes it tough. And again, again, and then we migrate here, and I tell people I migrated here. I am the immigrant that came from Samoa to here. The journey was to come there because American Samoa is a national territory, which allowed me the opportunity to just come to America and just live my dreams, I guess, and I don't have to start all over, I guess.
So, I mean, this is complete ignorance on my part. So,
You're fine.
American Samoa, America Samoa,
American Samoa, yeah.
and that territory is an American
Yes.
citizenship.
Yes.
Okay.
So it's an American national, which is kind of different because like we can't vote for the president of the United States. So we don't have that rights. But we can have all the rights. And we can't work for the government. We can't work for the government or we can't vote for the president of the United States, but we have the rest of the rights, which is kind of weird.
Okay. But then the moment you came here, you were able to have
So
all.
no, so I have to convert my national citizenship to a U.S. citizenship, which they allowed you to just convert it without sponsorship or anything. You just
Oh,
have to pay money for it, but yeah, and then wait for a couple of years, but yeah,
okay. Interesting.
yeah,
I get
yeah,
to learn also from
yeah.
all
A lot of
the
people in Utah didn't even know the immigration. They didn't even know,
yeah.
and it worked. So it worked out.
That's awesome. So, and this is why I love these stories, because it's like whether you speak English,
Right.
whether you are someone that is just getting here, right? You can figure out how to better your life. You can, right? We live in America. We can create anything we want. We just have to work really hard at it. And you're proof, right? You are living proof that that is
100%.
do. So at 17, what did you want to do with your life? Like what was
So the thing is, growing up in the islands, like if you want to be successful, you have to join the military. That was the message. That was the message that came to us when we were seniors. Says, hey, if you want to make it in America, join the military. And I love the military. Everybody that served this country. More power to you guys and I respect you guys for being in the military. But that was the goal. So I was brought here to a family. They were in the military to help me join the military. And I wanted so bad. That's why I tell people like that was the dream. Like I wanted so bad to join the military. Unfortunately, I didn't like I was a good kid. I don't know why. I don't know why. I mean, maybe the answers make sense now, but at the time I couldn't study that test. Like I couldn't pass the test. Like I was studying it, and I tell people like I'm a hard worker. So like I would go to work and I would come home and study. I'll go to work, come home and study, and I couldn't pass that test. So that's why I didn't join the military. And then the family gave up on me and said, "Hey, go find something else to do with your life. I mean, go find a different career." And so I'm like, okay, I guess I'll just work on a 9 to 5 and if I don't know,
You know
that's
what's interesting, Seth, that one of my favorite, I mean, you know my story studying, how I got into real estate was I started studying wealthy people. And one of my favorite books that I read is actually it's this biography about Steve Jobs. And he has a quote in it that I absolutely love. He says, "You can never connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect them looking backwards." And isn't it interesting that like sometimes when things happen to us, we think it's the end of the world, right? Like, oh my gosh, this whole thing, this was my dream forever, and now, I'm not gonna. But it's part of the path. It led you to other things that led you to where you are now.
yeah. I mean, it makes sense now, but it
Yeah,
did.
you can connect them looking backwards, right?
Like I was crying and praying and crying and praying, but I don't know. Like I kept questioning, why can't I pass? But
Yeah. Isn't that, and then now, and I'm sure then it was like such a disappointment to your family. It was such a heavy burden also of like, why can't I just be normal like these other people that are in my family and then now it's like, yeah, but there's probably no one else in your family that can take care of the rest of the family like now you can, right?
right, definitely.
And becoming a real estate investor sets your soul on fire in the sense of like all the things you can accomplish, right? Like now there's no limitation, and it's probably almost funny now, not maybe, but a little funny of like, oh, that's embarrassing that I thought that was the only way to be happy or the only way to have an American dream, when realistically time freedom is the American dream, right? Like
Exactly, man.
yeah.
Definitely.
So
Yeah.
what was it that inspired you to get into real estate?
So the crazy thing is I got married. We got married. And let me just rewind just a little bit. And then, so like what so when I met my wife, I introduced her to my life. Like I wasn't I like when I told myself like, hey, I am just a poor immigrant. If you want to date me or marry me or whatever, you're gonna have to come into my life. I wasn't embarrassed of my life, but I wanted her to know that I wanted to do something with my life. Or I knew that I'm going somewhere. Like I knew I was going somewhere, but I wanted her to be part of the beginning. So I married her, and it was just the two of us. And then you guys already know my wife. Like her mind is like so she already
Pretty
kind
awesome.
of she already kind of she's already been in America a little bit. And so like the dream was to buy a house, and my dream is to buy a house as well too. But that was supposed to be it. That was supposed to be the dream, right? And so we purchased our first home 6 months into our marriage. Like we were 24 years old at the time. And I was happy because I'm like, hey, I'm living the American dream now. You have a house now. And then my wife came to me and said, hey, and I haven't shared this story with my wife, but hopefully my families are listening. And she wanted to go right ahead again, like a year after that, to invest in real estate. And I told my wife this though, like I didn't want to move on with my life and my family living, because they didn't own a home at the time. They were renting. And I told my wife, like, I'm about to take off, but I don't want to take off and leave my family, because that was the purpose of me moving to America, was to support my family. And we all and then my wife's like, okay, let's make that happen. So right after we bought our first home, we went ahead maybe about a couple months later and helped support and help support purchase my parents' home.
Oh,
And
wow.
then we sat on there and did nothing, basically, when we were just playing, and then we just played the scared game after that. I mean, and then to answer you guys' question, to go into real estate, when you don't know it, that's why, like, I was sharing that, like, when you don't know anything, you don't invest. And so we just played the scared game, or at least I'm playing the scared game, because my wife is like, hey, why are you so afraid? Like this is America. And then right after that, I think like 5 years later, we saw this home that we live in Draper, and that was a huge jump. We're like, like we're coming from a small little house to a huge, like I'm over here like, no, there's no way. My wife's like, my wife's like, you can do this, like because she's looking at my effort. And I tell people this, so like, all I know is work. All I know is to work, work, work. And so she's like, let me channel that effort. So that's because I could, like, there's people out there that works harder than I am, or work just as hard as I am. So I tell people that, like, let me channel that hard work into investing in real estate. And
Work smarter, not harder, necessarily.
right. And so that's where the journey basically started. Then we moved to Draper, and we're like, you know what? We can take over the whole Utah now. And
Yeah.
then we ran into you guys, and then all of a sudden, boom. She was already ready when she was talking to us. We're like, we just need direction. Like we are already going, so because we already purchased that. We purchased, and then we already purchased a townhome in Murray at the time. So we have a bunch of these somewhat of real estate, but we don't know what to do with it. And then all of a sudden, so that way when we meet you guys, we're like, hey, we're ready to roll. We're ready for this. So that's kind of how we got started. So hopefully I'm trying to make it. Yeah.
You know
I
what's
love it.
crazy too is so, and this is, so Mary was on Facebook, and she was in one of these investing groups that are on Facebook, and she made a comment, and the comment was, is there a real estate person, is what she said, that can help me understand multifamily, because I'm getting the runaround, and the agent that I was using before doesn't seem to have a clue what they're talking about when it comes to multifamily. Is there someone that can help? And I happen, thank goodness, right? The world works in
Yeah.
amazing, mysterious ways. Thank you. But I happened to see it and I just pinged her back and I was like, actually, I love multifamily, right? And I would love to give you some direction on exactly how you should be running your numbers because you only make money when you buy a property. You don't make money when you sell it, technically, right?
Right.
Just cash your check when you sell it.
Right, you just cash the check. That's exactly what you're doing.
It's all numbers.
But it's all about the numbers in the beginning. And I remember her because I briefly said that in the comment and she goes, "What?" Like very obviously confused. And then I'm like, just, hey, call me, right? And so we ended up setting up a strategy call. And I remember her interviewing me and she literally was like grueling me. It was awesome. I was like, okay, girl, like you totally know how to interview. I thought that was really impressive. And then she did have the right questions to ask, and then I invited her obviously down to one of our workshops, and I just remember her sitting there going, I'm in." Like she was just like she was already in light years ahead of you, me, and you. Like she is
Right.
I think Mary was like, I was born, like, I knew this exactly is what I was going to be doing. Like, she just has that mindset. I love it. So she knew before all of us, I think, that she was going to be successful in real estate investing.
Right.
But I do love that you're coachable and something that we take on a lot of students and they're not all very, some of them are successful, but they're not all of them do what you guys do. And I wanted to take a second and just kind of talk about that. One of my favorite things that a couple weeks ago, Mary came and visited us at our mastermind, and she shared some really great wisdom. And I think that all of us can like appreciate this. But somebody said, Mary, how have you and Seta been so successful, right? Like, what could you give us a tip? And she said, just do what Mitch and Maeli said. Just do that. Like as if they're stupid,
Right. Right.
Like, yeah, very exactly. But from your perspective, like if you did have a tip, right, of like, hey, we jumped into the first flip challenge, and originally Mary wasn't going to do the challenge, and then all of a sudden she's like, wait a second, you mean I can pick up fast deals faster, I can connect with people more, I'm being held accountable to doing my numbers and running numbers and making offers, and I get teammates to be able to help me do these things. Okay, I'm in, right? And I was like, cool.
Right.
So you watched this happen. Can you tell me a little bit about and then you were a part of it, all of it, right? And then you just closed on the deal that was inside of the challenge. Tell me about that kind of experience. Like, how did this feel for you? Like, if you could give us a tip, like, tell me a little bit about that.
The coolest thing about like we looked so that the thing is we looked at you guys and we're like, okay, it's a little bit more powerful when you put them together, right? Like there's strength between the two. And so but we always talk about this, like, Mary, you have your own strength, I have my own strength. And I'm like, I'm just as passionate as you are in what we're doing. And so we started we started talking about let's kind of merge our efforts a little bit together. Like let's put our efforts a little bit together. And that's kind of how we came up to and then we're like, let's join a challenge and let's just put both of our heads together and make this work. And that's basically how it works. Like I feel like I have this thing that if I when you talk to me, I can hear exactly what you're trying to tell me without you trying to tell me what you want. And so that's how we got into the flip. Like the first property was part of the challenge that we found on the MLS, but then it got me thinking more like I like to think outside the box real fast. I'm like, wait a minute, let's find our own deal directly. What if I just go to the person and make this deal happen? And because of that, I feel like that's my gift. I feel like because of that gift of connection, that's how we made it work. And so
So yeah, you picked up the deal right next door to that deal,
right.
right? And I remember door knocking with Mary and some of you guys that was on that. So like Desi and Jason,
And
like we went door knocking and I knocked that door specifically because it looked like it needed some serious help, right? Like it,
right, right.
oh, this looks like money written all over this, you
Right.
know. So I knocked on the door and nobody answered. And then I knocked on the door next door or like across the street. And I was talking to that lady, the neighbor, and she was like, I'm like, can you tell me about this house? It looks like it's been vacant for years, you know? And she's like, oh, yeah. I mean, he comes and visits and like mows the lawn every once in a while, or she, yeah, I can't remember.
Yeah.
But it's been like this for years. Nobody lives there. And I was like, oh, Mary, this is a gold mine. You stay on this house. Find out, you know, if somebody shows up, you better go talk to them. So I love that you did because belly to belly, right? Like
Yeah.
that's how you create really good deals. I mean, not that the MLS can't, obviously, that deal made you guys some good money, right? But then
Yeah.
that deal, I'm sure, is significantly better. Can you
Yeah.
tell us the difference between the both and like what, I mean, if you'd be willing to share numbers or,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, that because that one is a direct connection. So like so, and the cool thing is, he was happy to just share the numbers directly. He was happy to just sell whatever, like whatever, like at that this time, like I don't even know what the number is, right? Like I'm just over here, like, hey, how much do you want it for? And he just threw out 500,000. I mean, the house is about to be sold closer to a mil. Like 500,000 is nothing. But here's the crazy backstory to this. Come to find out, his son-in-law follows my content. Small world though. That we already like the deal is closed. We moved on and everything. And then he came over to help me move his stuff out. And he saw me. He's like, "Oh shoot, you are these." And I was like, "Not these." I thought, okay, we're calm down, man. And he was like, "I love your stuff," and I'm like, and it made me. That's how it got me to share more because I'm like, and he's like, and he's over here like praising me, and he's like, "Hey, like you're selling your house to the guy." I'm like, okay, cool, cool, cool. But that's so cool. But yeah, so that's a small the number ish. So like we bought it at 500,000, and the number is gonna be crazy. So we're looking forward to that, and
Yeah.
let you throw it to
That's
more.
cool. And that just shows the power of social media, right? I mean,
Yeah.
that's something that Maeli does an amazing job. I not so much, but thank goodness we're a team, right?
Right, right,
But
right.
Maeli does an incredible job with it, and it is telling our story. There's power in telling your story, and you know it's something that we encourage people to do and teach people to do inside of the First Flip Challenge, along with getting educated and going through the motions and all those things. But there are so many opportunities that are created, and we live in a time where we've got these incredible platforms that we get to have a megaphone if we choose to, right? And tell these stories. I'm glad that happened to you because that's a perfect example of why we tell people tell your story on social media. Don't hide the fact that you're a real estate investor. This should be something that you are proud of. That you're screaming from the rooftops because it's going to bring you deals, it's going to bring you partners, and it's going to bring you opportunity. And sounds like there's a chance that deal only closed because you were willing to tell your story.
Yeah, yeah.
Connection, yeah. So, and I'm sure that because you are really leveraging this concept of just telling the whole thing, right? Like you're leveraging not just like I love that your kids are in most of your videos, right? Like you're like, you're coming with me. Like we're looking at this house today. We're at this house today. I love this because I am very much, generational wealth is my why and why I do what I do. And, giving back to my family is very important to me and maybe being able to take care of my mom and being able to take care of the people that I care about and love. Because if I don't, who else will, truthfully? Like,
Right.
there's really, I don't feel like that's been taught here. And even though we do live in America and we do have so many incredible things, it's just not something that is in public education. And, I'm watching my kids. So my daughter's 16 and, my son's 13, and not once are they talking about generational wealth. They're not talking about investments from a perspective that we know, right? They're talking about investments where it's this idea of, well, hey, you can do the stock market, and it's like, okay, you can get a CD and, your savings account. It's like, oh, and my daughter comes home, she goes, people actually use a savings account for their retirement. And I'm like, I have no idea. I feel like that's a horrible idea, but I think there are people that do this. Yes. Like I don't know why, because we're actually losing money with inflation if we put money in the savings account. And then we're just letting the banks use that money for leverage. We're just making the banks money if we did that. If we behaved that way. I feel like that would be a really bad thing, but sounds like because of how big our banks are, that's pretty much what people are doing. It's like, oh, that's terrible. So talk to me about this. You do have a family of almost 3 kids now, and why is that important to you? I mean, I see you taking them everywhere. I see you, having them, or, you're toting them around everywhere. Either it's Mary or it's you that has the kids, managing, and so they're not trying to kill themselves in these properties. How many properties do you have currently right now that are in remodel?
So
Like,
we're currently working on 3 of them.
yeah.
And then we just sold one, so it's woohoo, our biggest investment, like high end. And then we have one that just went under contract in Layton, so so happy about that. So yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
Fun.
Is the one that's under contract in Layton, is this the high end one?
the sold one in Sandy,
Okay.
that was
Okay.
a high end
Yeah,
one.
that was so
Talk
pretty
about
how that
taking to the
turned
next
out.
level, right?
Yeah, no, that turned out so pretty. It's funny too, is people came and they were like, there's no way they're gonna sell that for more than 900,000. I was like, absolutely they're going to. Like, I comped this out. Like, I know too. Like I'm like, the ARV is absolutely over 900. And I had multiple people like, no, no, no.
And it was a
I
cash
would have
out.
sold.
It was crazy.
It's like, oh, absolutely. But again, you did a good job, right? So I do think that there's a difference between, people who just do splash and dash, lipstick on a pig and do a terrible job. And then there's people who actually care about their homes, which you obviously took a lot of care in each of your deals. I've seen them, right? You've done a very good job. And instead of just plastering, just covering up stuff, it's like, no, we fixed the stuff, right? So there aren't issues in the home. Um, so there's 5 things that we focus on in investing, and I feel like you nailed every single one of those. So when it came to the home and the design, there wasn't one thing that you guys didn't just nail on that house. So you guys really should. Anybody that's watching, go follow Seta, and we'll share all your links and stuff. But you should go look at that house because it's a really beautiful design and the transition is wild. I mean, that house was so ugly. Oh my gosh. It was terrible. So ugly. Okay, so a couple more questions that I have for you. How do you stay focused on still acquiring more deals? I feel like this is something that a lot of our students get hung up on, and a lot of people actually. I'll hear this all the time. They're like, "Oh yeah, I do like one fix and flip a year," or
They have a tendency to get sucked into a single deal and distracted with all of the moving parts, where you guys have done what I think every investor should do, and that is focus on creating a scalable system. Let's get an assembly line going, right?
Right.
Sorry, Melee, I didn't mean to.
No, it's perfect. That's exactly it. So tell me how you can stay focused on getting to the next deal, right? So you closed one and now you're under contract another one, right? You're just like, you are creating this assembly line type idea, but how are you able to stay focused on that versus hyper focused on just one deal? Like, how are you able to do more than one?
The mindset behind this though, like people are so crazy. Like this is what I tell like, this is why like I try to share my story because I am nothing. I tell people that I am nothing and I came from nothing. The mindset behind here is like if the deal looks good, there was always a little fear in that deal, but it's like commit, commit to it. There's no such thing as losses. There's lessons. So that's our mindset. It's like, okay, let's put the numbers together. And then there's the numbers. If the number makes sense, and then there's a little gap of faith in there, let's roll with it. Because if we lose out on that deal, there's always a lesson to learn in it. So that's why. So that's our mindset. Every time we look at a property, if we end up gaining $1 after that property, the lesson that we get to learn in that process, it's way more important than the money we just made on that process, because it will force us to grow into the next one. You learn from there. It's like, okay, what mistake did we make here? And we jump to the next one. What mistake did we make here? And we're still in that beginning stage. So we want to take all the failed lessons now. And now that our kids are young, and now that we're still young-ish, and so so we want to make all the mistake right now. Give it to us. Luckily, it's been good. It's been working, but we're like, bring it on. If I go broke by tomorrow, I came from nothing anyways. So what's new? So
Wow.
That. I
I
love that.
I
That's
hope
awesome.
people, yeah, I hope people replay that over and over and over. That's some gold nuggets right there, which is just, Mitch always says it, but you either win or you lose, or you either win or you learn. And fast forward that. Either you win or you learn, right? I think that it's so important though to have that mindset, because that's what keeps us from having that fear of analysis paralysis, because that's something that I know that Mary is really good at. She's good at running the numbers,
Yeah.
and she's dialed in. She's not just whimsical, like, hopefully I make this money, like, no, she is like on it, right? And she's definitely not going to, like, if it doesn't on paper look like it's going to make money and have a nice margin on it, she's not even gonna, it's like, next, like, she's not afraid to say next either, right? She's not, I feel like a lot of our students, when they first get started, they have a different mindset, which is, a little bit of what you just said, but then they keep going the wrong direction, which is, well, even if I just, even if I made $1 on this deal, like, at least I learned while I was doing it. It's like, if your only margin gives you $1 when you bought the deal, let alone all the crap that could go down, like, that's stuff that happens, right? Like, one thing, and all of a sudden it cost you 10 grand to fix the sewer line, right? And you're like, just kidding. I should have probably ran my numbers better, right?
Right.
So knowing, like, fix and flips is a system, and it is a game that can be learned, and it's something that is duplicatable, right? Like, you're mastering those skills, but it does take a system, and if you don't have it, is a very risky game, right? You could lose everything overnight. And I feel like that's what causes people to have that analysis paralysis all the time, because they're like, well, but I could lose thousands of dollars. You're right. If you don't know what you're doing, this is a very risky business. And you better have people around you, right? That's why I think why community is so important, and having mentors and having people that have been here before you. Because, my favorite thing is, Mary just texted me, I think yesterday, and was just like, okay, so I really want to pick up this luxury property. It's in the $2 million range, the ARV is, after repair value, but we've never done anything like that. Can you give me some guidance, right? And she had a series of questions that she wanted answered before she thought she would even put an offer on it, right? She still wants it. I'm like, okay, let's go down that rabbit hole, because I love the luxury lines, right? And that's my jam, but it didn't start there. That's not how our journey began, right? We were doing very base hit, ugly Walmart fix and flips, really, really just down in, like, small, maybe the cost of remodel was 60,000. I think for me, at least, the smallest amount of money we ever spent in a deal for a remodel was 42,000.
I
And
think the Genesee flip that we did, it was like 20 grand.
it was like 25, yeah, like 25,000. And we made good, actually,
Very,
money
very
on that deal.
light remodel. Very light.
We literally just put up a wall, I feel like. We put up a wall, but then we had a hoarder, and that was terrible.
Got a squatter, yeah.
Squatter, that's what I meant. Sorry. Yeah, we had a squatter in the house. That was a whole nother mess. We actually
An
have YouTube
adventure,
videos
isn't
on
it, Seta?
Yeah.
Every deal is a new adventure.
for sure. But I think that that's so important is the mindset because you can learn anything, but I feel like the thing that holds people back the most is their mindset around it. They're so terrified of making mistakes that they just don't ever do it. They don't ever actually make mistakes or good decisions. They just kind of sit, play safe, do the 9 to 5, and not that that's not a good thing because we need people to just work at Walmart, and we do. We absolutely thank you for all the people that are picking up the trash every day and people that are like thank you for doing that. But for real entrepreneurs, there's comes a point where because you had your own business as a construction, right? So you do landscaping and you do construction, right? That's your primary job,
Yes.
gig. But then there comes a point that you'll get hosed on taxes if you are not investing, right? There
Yes.
becomes a point. So you guys do have some rentals. Tell us a little bit about your short-term, like, do you have short-term rentals, long-term rentals? Tell us a little bit about your rental scenario that you do.
So yeah, so we have our duplex downtown Salt Lake. The cool thing is I think we purchased that before we jumped into
Yeah,
like, and then we have our duplex in Mill Creek. I always mix Mill Creek and Midvale. I think
you're good.
I think it's Mill Creek. And so yeah, so that's working out really well right now. And the fourplex we have, so two of them is short term and two of them is long term. And so I mean it's working out really good. Like I mean, it's real estate, and so like
Yeah.
it's yeah. So yeah, so that's what we have, and we love it.
And from what I was hearing, like your short-term rentals are crushing it.
Yeah,
They're booked out for months.
yeah. So the cool thing is we purchased it at a nice location, and that purchase was close to $1 million, and it's like we could have lived in a $2 million house, but. You know what I'm saying? But but invest, right? And so yeah, so that was a huge investment for us to make that possible, and now it's working out for us.
Yeah.
So
Is
That's
there plans on the duplex to add? I feel like there was conversation around like adding on. Is there room to add on to the duplex?
yes, so there is room to add a couple more rooms to that, but it's in the works. It's in the work that we own that property, so like while we're in real estate, it might happen, it might not. So like it's part of the it's part of the
Journey, the
yes,
mission
yes.
where you're
In the
going.
it's in the mission. And so but we're about to take off with I just shared a content yesterday. I'm like, we're trying to buy all of Utah. But
I love it. I love it.
so like we are so open now to like, because at first we're like just get this little one, get this little one. And then now we're like, if Utah or if anybody has anything anywhere in Utah, we are here to buy all of it. All of it. So yeah.
I love
Beat
it.
that. I love that. So if you have a deal in Utah, let Seta know, right?
That's
Exactly.
right.
We want them all.
We want them all. Yeah. And okay, so let's ask this question. Have you used your money to buy all of this real estate?
And this is so cool, and that's what makes it like this is that's what makes this cool, because no, like none of our these are all, the crazy thing is we built that trust enough. And the reason I'm telling people now, like, we want to buy them all, because just wants to invest with us. So the money is there. Like, people just want to, hey, find a deal because we have this for you. And I'm like, oh shoot. Like, so yeah, none of any of this is our money. None of it is our money. We built trust. They bring in their money. So yesterday we just paid out 5 of our investors. And the moment we gave back their money, they're turning around like, what's more out there?
Where's the next one?
When
Yep.
is the next one, right? And
Yeah.
so none of it is our money. It's all trusted funds from anyone that wants to invest with us. And that's the coolest thing about it. Like when you don't have to use your money, you can buy whatever you want. And it's easy money for
So many more
everybody,
deals you can do, right? Like
right?
so many more
There's
deals
so many.
when you
Exactly.
just learn the skill of raising capital. And that's it. It's a skill that is learnable. And that's what most people don't understand, right? Is why would anybody let me use their money? Well, because you're going to make them money, right? It's a partnership. Like you're going to make them more money, and it's actually very easy to do. There's rules you have to follow. There's laws you have to follow, and if you don't know the straight and narrow path to be able to follow to manage other people's money, then you can get in trouble. And you know, we don't want anybody getting in trouble. Just be educated, and that's the key. And that's one of the things that I think people come in looking at real estate um they're scared, like how am I going to get the money, right? That's number one. And usually number two, which is going to lead to my next question, probably my last question as we wind down this call,
Okay.
is time. Seta, looking at you from the outside in, I'm sure people are like, man, this guy has it figured out. He's got the family, he's doing rentals, he's doing flips, he's got a business. And then people are like, I don't have the time to take on something else. But you've done it. You have a full-time job. You have
Yeah.
a business that you're running. You
Yeah.
have a family
$1 million
that
business. Like it's
yeah.
huge.
So if you were to speak to that and speak to that concern and that fear that people have of how am I going to find the time? How do you find the balance? How do you find the balance to be a husband and be a good husband and be a good father and run a business and do real estate investing?
I mean, I tell people this though. There's only three important things in your life that you need to focus on: God, family, and your finances. That's it. Everything else is sprinkled around. I have fitness too, but that's just sprinkled around in there. But that's my biggest three things. If you stay focused on those three things, you have a lot of time in your hands. So, because that's the biggest thing I've learned now is like, hey, like prioritize those three things: God, family, and finances. And it's crazy how your time is opened up to you and you'll be able to invest in real estate. And the crazy thing is like me and like I work hard just because I want to work hard and I'm out there and everything, but we have a system in place. Like a lot of the times my wife is just like on her phone, like making all these deals. Like we're not even out there. We're parents at the same time and be able to systemize everything to run on its own. And I tell people this though, like people look at me and be like, oh man, you're so busy. I'm like, man, like I have so much time on my hands just because of prioritizing only those three things. So it's crazy. So yeah.
You have
Yeah.
an abundance mindset. I love that.
Yeah.
Seth, this has been awesome, my man. Thank you for taking the time to come in and chat with us. And you're an inspiration to so many people. I know both you and Mary are incredible inspirations to so many people. And we hope that every one of the people that we help down this path of learning how to invest in real estate, follow in your footsteps and do as well as you guys are doing. And it's a journey, and the journey ends when we die. So you guys got a long way to go. Do me and Maeli, right? But you're on the right path. So thank you so much. Now, a couple of quick announcements as we wrap up the call. So if Seta and Mary, they're a part of our amazing community called the Investor Secret Network. If you are not already part of the Investor Secret Network and you want to know how to become a part of it, well, we've got a special deal for you. In the description below in this YouTube live video, there is a link to become a part of the community. Access to the Investor Secret Network costs $97 a month. It's just a subscription base, and we get together, we do events, and we throw parties, and we have trainings and education, and so many amazing things. If you use the link that's in the description in this YouTube video, you will get the first month for $1, which is awesome. You can cancel it at any time. So if you spend $1, you jump in and you decide it's not for you, cancel it before it renews. Now, with that said, Seta and Mary are have been part of the First Flip Challenge and have done an incredible job getting into their deal and, turning it around, making money, and then repeating that process afterwards. But the first flip challenge was a big part of that. We are starting our next first flip challenge. Season 3 of the first flip challenge starts on January 30th, 2025. So this is your last chance to become part of the first flip challenge. If you want to know how you can become a part of it and follow the same path that Seta and Mary did, reach out to me or Maeli, reach out to Seta or Mary, comment in the comments section on YouTube. Reach out to us. Let's get you involved. But the clock is ticking. The next one's about to start. So, guys, that is all we have for you this week. We are excited to come back to you next week with some incredible content. Seta, if you'd hang on the call for a second, but for everybody that's joining us in the Investor Secret Network or on YouTube Live, thank you for your time. We will see you next Tuesday.